more often.
President Bush orders an airdrop of humanitarian aid into Iraq. Former Senator John Tower killed in a plane crash. And unemployment surges to its highest level in 4 years. This is the CBS Evening News. Mike Wallace sitting in tonight for Dan Rather. Good evening. President Bush has been under fire for standing by while Saddam Hussein slaughters his opponents in Iraq. Well, today Mr. Bush ordered U.S. troops to rush humanitarian aid to the Kurdish refugees. David Martin at the Pentagon begins our report.
With tens of thousands of Kurds stranded in the wilderness of northern Iraq, President Bush today abandoned his hands-off policy and ordered Air Force transport planes to begin dropping food, blankets, and clothing to refugees fleeing the Iraqi army. But the president made it clear the airdrops are not a prelude to military intervention.
It's heartbreaking when you see these families on the road pushed out by a brutal dictator. So we will do what we can to help there without getting bogged down into a ground force action in Iraq. That is not our intention, never has been.
Bush said the airdrops will begin on Sunday and that he expected the government of Iraq not to interfere with them. American fighters still patrol Iraqi airspace, and a Democratic senator said they should be used to protect the transport planes.
If they were interfered with, then we could, in fact, fire back and should.
Saddam Hussein's brutal repression of the post-war rebellions against him has triggered angry protests around the world. In London, protesters briefly took over the Iraqi embassy, and 2 people were reported killed during a demonstration outside the Iraqi consulate in Ankara, Turkey. Saddam's tactics have also brought ever more urgent cries for help from representatives of the Iraqi insurgents. Today, those cries were finally answered.
Naturally, we're very moved and happy to see that a major superpower like America is taking such an extreme interest in alleviating the very, very tragic situation of the Kurds.
The president said the airdrops are the start of a relief effort for which he has authorized up to $10 million. He is sending Secretary of State Baker to the Turkish border with Iraq this weekend to see what additional aid is needed. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
These are the lucky ones, dirty, hungry, and suffering from exposure to mountain cold. They're at least inside Turkey. Latest reports say more than 200,000 Iraqi Kurds have fled here, with 250,000 mass just across the border and more on the way. The border is officially closed, but Western diplomats say Turkey isn't turning anyone away. The rugged frontier is almost impossible to close unless the Turkish army shoots refugees, a diplomat said, and that isn't going to happen. Turkish civilians are collecting relief supplies on their own and sending them to the makeshift camps. The UN says at least $137 million will be needed to shelter and feed the refugees, many of whom have little more than the clothes on their backs. A plane load of 30 tons of tents and blankets was sent from England today. A ship with 24,000 tons of rice and wheat sent as U.S. aid to Egypt will be diverted to Turkey. Some Kurds have simply given up trying to escape, preferring to take their chances at home. In the northern Iraqi town of Sulaymaniyah, Iraqi soldiers watched Kurds trudge back past the discarded weapons of the guerrilla revolt that failed. That the world is hurling verbal abuse about Iraqi government repression means nothing to the Kurds. The chances are they won't hear it anyway, and Baghdad doesn't seem to care. The Iraqis are back in control of Kurdistan, and any Kurd who knows what is good for him will